Hi Anna.
Hello.
Welcome to the Run Show.
It's magical, isn't it?
It is magical. How was your talk?
Not too bad, actually. Well, it was incredible. I have to say, the energy levels are just phenomenal out there. Big hall, loads of runners, beautiful.
And everyone's sitting there looking at me. Are you used to doing it? Are you used to public speaking?
I am used to public speaking. I do it for a living, but it's very difficult in here because there's so many people. You've really got to go for the theatrics and try and make sure the people at the back can hear the stories as well. So
yeah. Do you find everyone was kind of open-eyed and kind of...
I think, yes.
Because they look like it. So everyone looks like they're kind of really engaged.
Well, I think it's just... I understand. If I was them, I'd be thinking, is this woman off her rocker? Did she actually just say that she's done a massive barefoot run? So perhaps they're just confused. It's their bemused face. But hopefully they got to grips with it as it went on.
So can I start with the first question?
Yeah, you go.
Are you off your rocker?
Definitely I'm off my rocker, and I just think that's the best way to be, because I just think everyone's got to be a little bit unhinged, because otherwise you just end up going where everyone else is going, and then the most fun things happen in the other space.
Which is a really interesting point, because for me, when I looked at your route, now, so for the benefit of the audience, would you like to explain what you did?
Yes, I ran about 2,300 miles, equivalent to the distance of 90 marathons, from the Shetland Islands to London in my bare feet. And there was a lot of wiggling in my route.
So the map looks like it's just gone mad.
Yeah,
it's like a kid's got a crayon and just gone in round, like random lines all over it.
Yeah.
Is that how you decided your route?
It was a mixture of where do I want to see in Britain that I've not seen, which is why I've got Northern Ireland in there, the Channel Islands, the Isle of Man.
Channel Islands.
It's just the hop skip, isn't it? I just thought I don't want to leave them out. That's part of Britain as well. And
it
this
is.
You know, and then it was mixed, overlaid with where are the girl guiding groups that I can go and speak to. Because the reality is, I'd love to spend all my time running up mountains, but there's not many girl guides up there to chat to. So I spent an awful long time in Scotland, about 2 months of the trip in Scotland, and then that's why it looks so erratic. And a lot of people go, so you ran Land's End to John O'Groats, and I just take a deep breath and say it's a bit different to Land's End to John O'Groats. But that's an example as well, isn't it? If you say, oh, you're running through Britain, people straight away go, oh, Land's End to John O'Groats, because that's what everyone does, which is cool.
Shortchanging you somewhat.
Well, yeah, there are other options, and I think that's it. So I definitely went for a bit of a different route.
So just doing Land's End to John O'Groats, the joggle is considered to be, one of those iconic tick boxes. Yeah. To do it the route you did, it takes it to a completely different level, and to do it barefoot is a defining point of being bonkers, isn't it? I mean, that's just been... The question that everyone will ask you is why. So...
Yeah, I do get it is mad, but to put it in context, I've done a long run in trainers before. I'd run 2,000 miles through New Zealand in my trainers, and so whenever I do a new adventure, there's always got to be an element of, am I going to make this or not? And I thought, if I'm being honest with myself, if I stand on the start line, I'm in my trainers, I know I can do it. Not in an arrogant way, but I think I can. And I just had a crazy thought of, well, what happens if you don't do it with shoes on? And straight away I thought, that's ridiculous, you can't do that. And then I just followed that thought, well, can I wonder, ... And what happens if I just give it a crack and see how I go?
And presumably there must be, in my experience, you always have the naysayers. You go, oh, you sure you should do that? Because, and there's a whole list of becauses why you shouldn't do it. Did you get that, or do you have a support group around you that'll only give you the positives?
No, I think you have to curate your support group, because there will be, and to be honest, whenever I get negative feedback now, I always just think, great, my story's reaching further, because the further it reaches, the more people will dislike what you do, and you can't be all things to all people. You've got to connect with the people you connect with, and especially as the run went on, I got more media attention. I mean, the things people would say to me, I'm going to be a burden on the NHS, get a job, all that kind of stuff. And
how's the job hunting going?
Oh yeah, great. I'm still looking.
And the NHS is still standing, I think, isn't it?
The NHS is still standing. Funnily enough, I use it less than normal people, but I think that's one you have to curate what you let into your mind. It's like, I always think your mind is a bit like, it should be like your diet. If you fill your belly and your veins with fried chicken and all the bad stuff, then you're going to feel dreadful. Don't fill your mind with it as well. Yeah,
absolutely. So obviously the adventure you had must have brought in a whole load of fantastic memories. So can you drop me a few highlights or?
Oh, I mean, first of all, the places I was seeing, the Shetland Islands for a start, I'd never been up there. That is, I mean, and they've got the right to roam in Scotland, so if you like running off the beaten track, you could just run wherever you like. And just looking at a peat bog and thinking, right, well, I want to go from A to B, I'm just going to run across this peat bog. That's pretty cool. So,
sorry, what's running in a peat bog like?
Well, I wrenched my toe tendon in the first few days because you get your toe stuck a lot if you're not wearing shoes, but they're very spongy. It's like running on sponge, and so I got my foot stuck and my body kept moving forwards and my foot was left behind, so that was a bit painful. But it's spongy, it's really nice. It's a bit like parts of if you run across bogs in the Lake District, then there's a very similar feeling, that bouncy trampoline feeling. Other places I loved, I mean, Yorkshire Dales National Park, North Wales was amazing. But the biggest surprise was the Northumberland coastline, all that 90-mile stretch north of Newcastle. Sandy, gorgeous, loads of places to have coffee, very important. Great crab sandwiches, cake, coffee, crab sandwiches, all the basic C's.
That's right. It's a recommended runner's diet.
Yes, it is. Do you know what? My diet was really interesting in the end because after the first few weeks, my body was just screaming at me that it wanted milkshakes and sausage rolls. And sugar had gone out the window. It was kind of salt and fat. I suppose there's a bit of sugar in milkshakes, but it was really interesting to see how it was very clear what my body wanted.
And you ran a lot of it with other people too, didn't you?
I did, yes. So I think there was 125 days of running over the course of the run where I was running on the roads, and for 86 of those days I had people running with me, and they could sign up in advance, and I never knew who was going to turn up or whether anyone would turn up and how long they were going to run with me, but it just ended up becoming this sort of moving feast, and people would come back for 1 stage, 2 stages, and they would have their own little adventures within my adventure, which was just beautiful to watch.
So, running by yourself, running with other people, how did that pan out?
Well, what's weird is that I always run by myself. In everyday life, I probably say 5% of the time I will go for a run with someone else, but most of the time I think you're trying to fit it in around life, aren't you? And you're running for your headspace, and I listen to podcasts, so I quite like to be by myself. And then suddenly, here I was, having organised the most extroverted run possible, and it took a bit of getting used to. And at the start, I really grappled with, because I was trying to form an idea of, I want to know who's coming, how long they're going to run with me for, and then I can get my head around it. And then very quickly, I realised I was never going to get that information, so I just needed to chill out and just be cool with the complete chaos. And then everything got moved.
And it worked.
It worked, and by the end, I was just so much more relaxed about everything, and that then translated into when I was relaxed with who would run with me. If anything else went wrong in the adventure, I just was relaxed about that as well, because I just realised you can't control it. All these things are going to happen without control.
So, my takeaway from your run is you've inspired a lot of women mainly along the way to do extraordinary things. Was that your intention?
I guess my intention was to talk to the young girls, so it was about young women and trying to show them the complete warts and all of a journey like this, being really honest with them, because I don't know what on earth it's like as a young kid growing up with social media, but you do get to see this curated view, and there's a lot of pressure on what you look like and being perfect, and I thought, if I can just show these girls that I'm terrified, I've got no idea what I'm doing, I don't know if I can do this, but here we go, then that might help them in some way. And yes, and then what happened is I ended up with loads of women running with me, and I didn't even think about it, but it became quite clear within the first 2 months 85% of the people that ran with me were women, so I thought I was just putting out some estrogen vibes. We had a lot of men come and run as well, but it was mostly women, and by the end of it, it seems that it was the daughters and the mums as well that ended up. So
something which fascinates me, and actually is one of our objectives with Run Ultra, is to build more facility for women to see that they should occupy 50% of, or at least 50%, why stop at 50% of the running community. And apparently about 25% of ultra runners are women. I've never understood why that isn't 50%. Run Ultra actually at 45%, which is pretty damn good, but we need to be more. So what, in your view, it's something which I guess you've given some consideration to, why is it? What is that gap?
I think women suffer quite a lot from feeling guilty when they spend time on themselves, and that's not a criticism of men, but I do think when they leave their kids, they always feel like they should be doing something for other people, and so to actually stop and carve out time for themselves, and ultra running does take a lot of time, that's it. And so I think women struggle with that guilt, and I think they need other women around them to say it's okay. You don't have to be all things to all other people all the time. Do this for yourself, and actually that's more beneficial for you, for your partner in the long run. Actually, you're not taking away from your family life by making that time. You're actually investing in it. And so I think that's what I saw, because a lot of women that came around with me, they've been really looking forward to it. That was their break, that was their get out. And I think the other thing with women is there's a different kind of strength. I think the traditional man strength is, quite big muscles, chest beaty, very loud, and women have this much quieter strength. And I think that has to be the right environment before they are allowed to bring that out. And I think sometimes if they're around people who are being very loud and very extroverted, that they kind of shy away, whereas if they're surrounded by other women, they're able to sort of sink down and tap into how strong they really are.
And we're seeing some fantastic results, and certainly in terms of racing, in terms of women's performance now, is standing right up against the best, and standing on top of the best. So
it is amazing to watch. And I'm not a fast runner, so I watch those women and I just think this is exciting now, and this is getting really cool.
The ability to endure is it seems to be the defining point of it. Is they can endure pain, they can endure distance, they can endure self-management, which is a very, very important part of ultra running.
Yeah.
So, how did you come to running?
I've always ran, since I was a kid. My earliest memories of running is I entered Epsom Oddballs, which was my parents' local running club. I remember I was 6 years old and it was supposed to be a race for 9-year-olds, but I begged my parents to let me enter it, and I ran laps around this hospital. But I remember running so hard that I in the final lap, my dad had to scoop me up in his arms and feed me Ribena because I'd started hyperventilating, and when you can taste blood, you're a kid, it was the first time I started tasting blood, and I basically just ran myself into the ground just because I wanted to go as fast as the 9-year-olds and I couldn't keep up. So that is my first memory of running, and then since then I've just always run for fun. I've never gone down the elite path of running. I used to row for Great Britain, so I'd always enjoyed running as cross training for that, but it was probably in my late 20s that I started realising that I actually just love running. It's just a means to get from A to B, and so I'll run whenever I can.
So what would be your advice to other younger, so your younger self, in the sense of you're an aspiring ultra runner?
Yeah, I think you've got to realise with running, and the more I go on, the more I see there are so many different ways to enjoy running. You can be a 5k, a 10k person, you can be an ultra person, you can enjoy trail, you can enjoy road, you can be obsessed with split times, or you can just go for the time of your life. And so I think it's about experimenting with all those different ways and finding what suits you best, because there will be a style of running that suits you. It's just about which one is it, and then just enjoy it.
Okay, and the last question is, what secret do you have? What's something that no one else will know about you, or maybe your closest friends will know about your family? So,
that I have 2 Olympians as parents, so they went to the Moscow 1980 Olympics for rowing.
Wow.
Which is a really interesting Olympics, and I think the more time goes on, the more I realise how important that their support is, and their understanding of why I would go out and push myself. That support has just been invaluable, and they're a bunch of legends. And my mum came and joined me on this Barefoot Britain run.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she did 3 15-mile days by my side, and she was pushing the pace, and I had to rein her back in. She's 63.
Yeah, mums, huh?
I was mum.
Don't embarrass me. Anna, thanks very, very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.